Hello everyone and welcome back, and let's just keep it rolling with part 2. So, we reached their 6th album in Paper Walls, released just a year and a half after Lights and Sounds. It's an amazing testament to how good a band can recover from putting out something that, let's face it, wasn't so great. Lights and Sounds was a misfire, but this one hits a lot of marks. It stays on Capitol and Neil Avron returns to produce once more, and the band's line since Lights and Sounds is almost completely unchanged, with the exception of the new lead guitarist Ryan Mendes. He does a good job of filling in Ben's new spot, and would continue to be with the band even after their first breakup. Yes, as good as Paper Walls is, it wasn't enough to fully hold the band together, and they would split up for a little while after it came out. It's a shame, really. Obviously, it came out in 2007. But yeah, it's a shame, really. As I mentioned, Paper Walls is good. Really good. I even quite like the title a lot. I don't know why, but I just think that it sounds cool. Going back to the split for a bit, this would also be the band's last album with bassist Peter Mosley, who had also taken on some piano duties at this point, and it will also be the band's last album with Capitol Records. Also, I forgot to mention this about Ocean Avenue, but people may notice that in the videos for both the title track and the song Way Away, there's a different person. That person is Alex Lewis, and he also appeared in the music video for Perda from Yellowcard's Underdog EP. Also, he's uncredited in pretty much all of that, which is a shame because he's pretty good, and he's kind of like an unofficial sixth member. That's got nothing to do with this album, but it's just something I wanted to get out of the way, I guess. Anyway, yeah, back to Paper Walls. It's almost got a more symphonic feel to it in a lot of ways, with more string arrangements being used, and there's even a choir, which hasn't really been heard before or since. There was a lot of production behind the scenes as well, specifically engineering, meaning that a lot of people really had to screw things on tight so that the album would sound as good as it does. I think there was like 3, 4, 5 extra engineers assisting and everything. Even with so much going on behind the booth, though, none of the effects feel unnatural or forced, and that's always a good thing in my opinion. Another thing is that there's a lot of Sean Mackin's backing vocals, echoing Ryan Key singing without getting too repetitive. It's really well balanced, and while it's not the first album to do it, it's the first to start exploring it a bit more. As for Ryan, his singing has improved, and his lyrics are probably at the most emotional here, going over similar topics, but also adding the subjects of loss and recovering from those losses, be they like family or anything else. Ryan's guitar sounds really amazing, he's got some great solos, Sean's violin is good, he plays some lovely melodies as well. LP's drumming is a lot more restrained, focusing more on timing than on speed, but it works well. And Peter's bass and vocal work sounds pretty good. Standout songs include Light Up the Sky, Fighting, Keeper, the closing title track, and my favourite, the more acoustically tinged Dear Body. I just really like it. Paper Walls is very well balanced, produced, and performed, focusing more on the emotion than the aggression. It works well and it gets pair of thumbs from me. I can recommend it. Next up is their 7th album, When You're Through Thinking, Say Yes. I like this title a lot, and it stems from a text message that lead singer Ryan Key actually sent to a girl, who I think he might be married to now, I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's just a cool title. It's their first album since their brief return, and it's pretty good. It's also the first album that I ever listened to by them, and was one of my top 10 favourite albums of 2011. There were a couple of changes. They switched from Capitol to Hopeless Records, and after bassist Peter Mosley declined rejoining, they recruited new bassist Ryan Reynolds look like Sean O'Donnell. I'm not even joking there, look at them up, they look eerily similar. Anyway, O'Donnell was the guitarist of the band Big F with Yellowcard lead vocalist Ryan Key. Big F was originally a small side project, but Ryan brought Sean along with him to Yellowcard when that band reformed, and Big F just sort of stopped happening after that. Ryan himself even confirmed that some of Big F's songs were going to be reworked into new material for When You're Through Thinking. Besides that, everything else is pretty much the same, with all the other band members before the split returning, and producer Neil Avron staying on with the band. I should probably mention now that Neil stays on with the band until their second split, and once again, he does a pretty good job on this album. Joining the Hopeless family was hugely beneficial, mostly due to Hopeless just being a fantastic label. Yellowcard made the right choice with the switch, I think, and there's more of a focus on the happier sounding stuff in Say Yes, with messages of wanting to do right by loved ones, friends that we missed from the past, and one of my favourites on the album being about the passing of Ryan Key's grandmother. Their energy has returned once again, and like Paper Walls, it focuses more on the emotion, but there's much more of a faster pace with When You're Through Thinking. Everyone's timing is a lot better, and despite 4 years between this and Paper Walls, with their first split, Yellowcard really didn't show any rust. Granted, with the members now nearing their 40s when they were teens at the start, you'd think that a lot more would change, but nope. Okay, in 2011, most of them were just past 30, but they're now hitting their 40s soon. But yeah, no, let us change. Everything about this is so neatly put together. The effects that Neil Everett puts on his producer are something amazing, resulting in a great classic summer sound for the band. Speaking of the band, let's just go do that. As mentioned, they all perform well, with some great solos from Mendes, great violin and vocals from Sean Mackin, great bass playing and vocals from O'Donnell, as also this is the only album where he's with the band. Ranky's vocals improving and his lyrical work getting more personal, and LP showing some great versatility in his drumming. Standout songs include For You and Your Donald, See Me Smiling, Hide, The Great Closer and Be the Young, and my favourite In Sync for Me, which is the one about Ryan's grandmother. Say Yes is basically Ocean Avenue 2.0, and I freaking love it, and I can highly recommend it. It's so good. Moving right along, we reach the 8th album, Southern Air. Released in 2012, this one sees the band sticking with Hopeless. Neil Everett remains, and almost everything isn't changed with the exception of the bassist. The band were between bassists around the time of this album's creation, as Sean O'Donnell left to focus on his personal life and family, and new bassist Josh Portman wasn't brought into the fold just yet, and as a result of this, lead guitarist Ryan Mendes played bass for this album, making this technically the only album with the band as a four-piece. Josh does appear in all the music videos for the singles released from the album, but he wasn't made permanent until the album itself came out. It does help that he toured with them briefly in 2007 before their first breakup, meaning that he does kind of have history with them, to be honest. Anyway, the album itself is a really, really good step up and continues to prove how good the band is. It's even more amazing that this album was only released a year and a half after When You're Through Thinking Say Yes. I mean, it just shows how good the band can be. You know, that they're no strangers to short release cycles between albums, and the fact that they can improve as they go on is just amazing to me. Now, I'll admit, when Southern Air first came out, I didn't really have the appreciation for it then that I do now. Thankfully, 20-year-old me was more of an idiot than almost 25-year-old me is, though that I've improved all that much, but still. There's a much happier sense of things to this album. I don't think that there's one song that sounds too dark, and it's honestly just really nice and positive to listen to. It feels more like traditional pop punk in many ways. Then again, that could also be bolstered by the appearances of Tay Jardine on the song of Here I Am Alive, all-time low vocalist Alex Gascoigne, that's difficult to say, and Hey Monday lead singer Cassidy Bug providing backup singing for the song Telescope, also along with Tay Jardine. Also, Here I Am Alive was co-written by Fall Out Boy frontman Patrick Stump. That's just a cool little factoid. Also, yes, the song How I Go From Lights and Sounds featured Natalie Maines, and that album was the band's first to have a guest vocalist on the song. The problem was that I don't know who Natalie Maines is, and I don't care because Lights and Sound was just a big messy mess fire. Back to Southern Air though. Even the name just sounds nice. Although the band were down one member, they managed to pull another great one out of their asses. Ryan Key's vocals sound much better, his own riffs are pretty good, and his lyrics just feel more positive than ever, especially when he's singing them out. Ryan Mendes plays well, and he whips up YC's best guitar solo in the song Rivertown Blues. Yes. Also, he plays bass pretty well, I guess. Sean's violin sounds awesome, with him having more solos on this album than anything before or since. And LP's drumming is one of his best performances yet, lending a great background with awesome snare work and showcasing, once again, a lot of versatility. Standout songs include the closing title track, Always Summer, A Vicious Kind, 10, and my favourite, Rivertown Blues. Southern Air is the band's most positive sounding album, and I really enjoyed it. Great production, musicianship, and just really nice happy songs. A very traditional sounding pop punk album. I can recommend it. We then move on to album number 9, Lift a Sail. Released in 2014, there are some changes this time. First is the fact that LP left the band in March 2014, the album itself was released in October of that year. And second is the fact that the band switched labels, leaving Hopeless for Rage and Retire instead. And then there's the overall sound. Like Lights and Sounds, it has more of an alternative rock focus, even adding some elements of pop rock and stadium rock, surprisingly. Having Neil Everett stay on as producer definitely helped to produce that sound, since everything just sounds bigger. Also, thankfully, the guitars don't drown out everything else. Having said that, with the slight change of sound, it does come with the sacrifice of some really good violin work from Sean Mackin. With the exception of the band's debut, this might be the least that I've ever heard him play. The thing is, he's not drowned out by the loud stuff like he was on Lights and Sounds. You can easily make out he's playing on the album, it's just not there that much as a rule. Now, Lift a Sail is an album that, like Southern Air, I didn't really fully appreciate when I first heard it. Of course, I would still prefer Southern Air if given the choice between the two, but I feel like Lift a Sail is very underrated. Yes, it was a sound change, but it was a bit for the better by this point. One thing that I liked was the fact that the band's core positiveness didn't change. In fact, due to everything sounding bigger, those messages are pushed across a lot bigger as well. Heck, the music video for One Bedroom, the lead single from the album, shows the band working with the Invisible Kids charity, helping out kids from African countries that are forced to be soldiers at young ages. If that doesn't make you smile a little bit, then you're quite obviously dead inside. It's strange to think that this album has the sound of Lights and Sounds, but the positive energy of Ocean Avenue. Say Yes and Southern Air as well. It's like Lights and Sounds, but if that album was good. I'm being way too harsh on it, I know, but I don't much care. Anyway, back to Lift to Sail. Even though there's not really any fast songs on it, it's still pretty easy to listen to for a Yellowcard album. The shortest actual track is just a bit over 2 minutes long, and it's pretty much just acoustic all the way through, so there's really no speed there. Anyway, I should mention the fact that whilst LP left, the album wasn't without a drummer, so step right up Nate Young from Anne Boleyn. He wasn't even made a permanent member by the time the band split up for the second time, which kinda sucks. He puts in a really good performance, balancing things out well for the album. Mendes' guitar is pretty damn good, and he plays some good solos and riffs. Sean's violin really is not there that much, but it's good for when it needs to be heard, at least. Ryan Key's vocals have stepped up and even had some higher notes here and there, which is very nice. And Josh Portman's bass works well with him playing a heavier, more thunderous stadium rock style, making it easier to hear, I think. Standout songs include One Bedroom, Transmission Home, Make Me So, The Deepest Well featuring Mike Mullins from Memphis Mayfire, and my favourite of them all in Fragile and Dear. Lift to Sail is just an uplifting, no pun intended, heartwarming album buzzed by great production, positive energy, and really nice performances. I can certainly recommend it, even though if you'd asked me when I first heard it, I probably wouldn't be able to. But yeah, it's really, really good. And finally, we reach Yellowcard's last album in Yellowcard. Yeah, it's self-titled. It was released in 2016, and is also possibly the band's final album ever. The band re-signed with Hopeless, Neil Everett produced again along with Ryan Key and Ryan Mendes, making this the only album to have more than one producer, and the only album to have members of the band themselves produce it. With the exception of possibly their debut, but I couldn't find anything, so that's up in the air. Anyway, I rarely bring these up, but this album was mostly recorded with at the crowd-funded Lone Tree recording studio owned by Ryan Key. And you know, listening back to this album, it honestly made me feel kind of sad. A happy sad, but still sad. There's a slight change in sound, adding some pop-punk elements, but mostly focusing on the alternative rock stuff. It's safe to say that of the 4 albums that they released during their second run as a band, their self-titled finale is definitely the most tear-jerking. I like that in a way. It's the most emotional. It actually feels like they're saying goodbye, which is really appropriate. It retains some of the stadium elements from Lift to Sail, but doesn't overuse them. Surprisingly, the album itself is very well balanced and mixes up the band's usual styles really well, adding some cool new stuff along the way too. It's strange to think that by this point in the band's career, there were no original members left. I already mentioned about Sean Mackin earlier, and everyone else with the band, Key, Mendes, and Portman, didn't join until their respective times. Not to mention LP never having been fully replaced by Nate Young, who was still a touring member even up to the band's second hiatus. Going back over all of the old stuff, from how they used to sound to how they are now, has been just a great encapsulation of everything, and they captured that really well in their final album. They went out on the swords in this one, and the emotion of it all really hits you like a truck, and everyone performs greatly for the last album. The overall messages of songs actually feel like send-offs. Sure, there is the odd reminiscence of the past and going over old toxic relationships here and there, but all in all, it feels like Yellowcard wrote a tribute album to themselves. By making their last work self-titled, they knew that they had to get everything across this one right, and they succeeded. The production value is great, and it really helps to bring out the emotion of the songs. There's even more piano and keyboard elements, adding more melody to things. Ryan Key's vocal performance is nothing to sneeze at, as usual, and he brings across some amazing emotion with the lyrics and voice, and his rhythm guitar work is stellar as always. Sean Mackin's violin has more presence here, thankfully, and he provides some much-needed melody from time to time. Brian Mendes' lead guitar licks and solos are amazing. Nate's drumming is pretty good, even though he's not a full-time member, sad. And Josh's bass sounds amazing as well, keeping up really well with the others. Standout songs include Got Yours, What Appears, The Hurt Is Gone, Rest in Peace, and my favourite, An Empty Street. Yellowcard is a tear-jerking farewell to almost 2 decades as a band, give or take their first breakup, and its production sounds amazing, with great little effects draped over the album. I can't recommend it, and there's a good chance it'll probably make you cry a little bit too. And so, that's it for another episode of Backtracking. My favourite album was quite obviously Ocean Avenue. It's just a great mix of styles and tones, and it put the band on the map. My least favourite was Lights and Sounds. It had a lot of stuff that should have worked, but it wound up just being a huge mess. Yeah, sad but true. Anyway, the next episode is going to be something special, since it'll be the first female-fronted band that I'm going to be covering. Next time, it's going to be In This Moment. I will see you all then, and as always, thank you for listening. You're all awesome.